Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another spoiler review for Star Wars Resistance Season 2. I'll be taking care of the review for uh, Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker this Thursday, possibly, depending on what else is going on this week that I gotta take care of personally. But yeah, it'd be nice because it's like gonna be going right into this weekend with the Obi-Wan series. It'll be coming out this Friday, so I'm looking forward to that. Uh, this is gonna be well. Season 2 of Resistance is a little bit better than the first season, and they only made 2 seasons from this show. I don't know. I doubt it has something to do with the pandemic, because well, I think it might have something to do with pandemic because uh yeah, because the season 2 started in October 6th on 2019, and it ended in January 2020. So it was like at least, a couple of months before we got wind of anything to do with the pandemic or like COVID-19. However, that stupid orange crayon that had that was in the presidency probably got wind of this way in January, but didn't bother to get anybody prepared beforehand. But that's neither here nor there. But so I don't think it has anything to do with the pandemic. I think just maybe just this won Saturn Awards for its possible like writing and story, but it's like, yeah, personally, I don't think Resistance is that good, honestly. But as I said in my season 1 review, I don't think it was tailor made for my age. I think it was tailor made for people who were, well, I was only like a couple of years younger, so I was still in my 30s, but uh, it's tailor made for people who was probably like, in their teens, or younger. But it's like I said, season 2 is a little bit better, but I still don't like the main lead cast. I think he's the most him and Nico's probably the most annoying characters I ever had. Not as annoying as like Jar Jar Binks. I can still tolerate them being saying stuff, but speaking of Jar Jar Binks, I never knew there'd be anybody as stupidly, unfunnily clumsy as Jar Jar Binks as I've seen Kaz. Like I said in the previous review, if you go back and listen to that, I am just flummoxed how like this dude is just getting anywhere with this Three Stooges logic. He just bumbling around and like it's like that kind of stuff. Like, and it's like it's almost as like the writers and animators were in that kind of mindset of like cartoons that has to be distracting to the kids. It's like jingling keys. It's kind of like, all loud, bombastic, zigzaggy kind of movements that you see like in like certain animated projects. Like, maybe not in the first, because like I mentioned in my Hotel Transylvania movie review, which you can check out on the channel as I speak about this, how like, a mark of a good animator, personally, I think, is that you make each character move in a unique way. Dracula in that movie moves completely different from everybody else in the cast. Mavis moves completely different from everybody else in the cast. But as like the movie sequels moved on, they all pretty much like trying to move pretty much the same as everybody else. They're not distinct. And not saying like everybody moves the same way as Kaz, but it's just that Kaz and Nico to some extent has this loud movement that's like you would think, because even as much as I crap I give like Rebels, there is still progression with Rebels, as like you see, Sabine is a perfect example of someone who has, because it's obvious with her hairstyle, like changed almost every season, but it's like she's not the same as you saw her in season one as you get into season two, and she's not the same in season three as you saw her in season two, and same thing with all the other people, and it's like I Ezra the same way. It's like I don't care for Ezra like that, but I still respect the progression. There's still progression there. I at least still respect the story with that. I can't really respect Resistance, where you got Cass who still behaved the exact same way as he was when he first came in. I mean, there's little growth, but not I won't say it needs to be drastic, but it's just like he shouldn't be a bumbling goofball. At least not that much. It should at least lessen. It's like you don't take away that character, that's part of that character, but you don't make it his thing. At least you should lessen that, because like you should some modicum of maturity. It's like with Spider-Man. Spider-Man, just because he gets a little older in the comics or in the shows or movies, you don't need to take away the jokiness that he likes to do, but respect the fact that he's not the same Spider-Man as he was year one in his career as he is year 5 or 6. But anyway, there's a few good episodes in this I thought was, really stood out for me. One of which where it's like, because now that Tam is pretty much gone to the First Order, which I have my issues with Tam, because it's like the fact that, like, you lied to me. Like, how could you lie to me? It's like, get over yourself, okay? And it's like, yes, you feel hurt and betrayed because you spend some time talking with these people. We act like a fucking total teenager. Well, I guess he is kind of a teenager, but she seems so more mature for her age when we first meet her. But it's like, yeah, you can write a character that gets swayed by the Empire, and then of course you see her get a change of heart once you see the atrocities these people are willing to do, and it's like people been telling you this about these people, and it's like, why you don't have no history books about these guys? Just because they're named differently doesn't mean they're different people. They still behave the exact same way, and you should have records. It's only been like 20, 30 years since like the events of Empire, Return of the Jedi. It's like you should have records of like what these people did to countless villages and civilizations and like what have you. And it's like it's like we got records of what happened in WW2 with like Nazi Germany and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, we still got, ignorant people who still behave that way, here and there. But it's like having them rise up without any kind of context of because it'd be far worse if some people decide, okay, let's completely nix that part of history. So, then in 30 plus years after the events of WW2, then we get like the rise of the, First Order Nazis or something like that. And it's like, and you're back in a war again. It's like, that should be a thing, because that should be right in the history books of like what happened and the atrocities that went down. This shouldn't be a thing. I know we got a movie got a movie and stuff in like the sequel trilogy, sure, but it's like it's flabbergasting that they shouldn't have as many followers as they do, unless they are complete shitheads from the beginning. But you recruiting people like Tam here who should have some knowledge, and you on the Colossus with a bunch of people who are well old enough to remember what had happened during the events of the Empire, and they should be telling stories, let them know like, yeah, you know, it's like listen to stories with your grandparents of like, what they did in the war and stuff like that. It's like, have you heard stories from Jaeger? Even though he keeps certain stuff about a secret, but like there's a couple of old people there. They should have been old enough to know what happened, so that way people like Tam shouldn't be so easily swayed by like the Empire's false propaganda. That is bizarre. But I'm trailing off. This particular episode that I like Tam the most in is where it's like a good parallels between how the Resistance will fight to compare how the First Order fights. Now the Tam still behaves like a good person, where like they're on this training exercise, and you gotta just take down your targets. Even though you're a squad, if one falls short, leave them. The main objective is take down your target. While on the other end, where you got like Hype and Kaz and everybody's, because like Jaeger is training all these, Jaeger and Kaz is training these other ace pilots who are just used to racing, but not actually like in like a straight up dogfight, and they got to learn how to work together. And I thought those parallels, that was very well done. It's probably like one of the best episodes I've seen this entire series. But they spent most of this season trying to find like a spot to to just stay there and stop running, because they run out of supplies. You gotta deal with like these pirates that they keep threatening to mutiny, but they finally get dealt with. But it's just, why is this particular group of the Force Orders got such a hard on trying to find this Colossus? It's like, sure, it was like I guess like a crucial thing in season 1, because it's on the outskirts, away from like Resistance borders, so they can have like a base, like a different base of operations. But that entire base of operations got up and jumped shipped. So it's like, why do you care anymore? It's not there anymore. There's no point in having that. So it's like you chasing it all over the place. It's like you raising resources yourself. It's like regroup with like the main hub. And it's like Team Rocket constantly going after Pikachu. It's like after a while, it's like I mean, eventually, even in Pokemon, I think like, yeah, they still probably want Pikachu, but they concerned with capturing other Pokemon besides this particular Pikachu. Come to think of it, they never explain why they still need Pikachu for anything. I don't even know whether like, Team Rocket is still like a thing anymore, when you got all these different regions with different gang members. So that's a topic for another review. But yeah, this chasing this Colossus down, I don't know why it's such a big deal. Move the fuck on. And you keep chasing them. It's not, sure, they're Resistance, and you gotta like nullify any resistance, no matter how small, sure. But it's like you're wasting resources you'll find them eventually, but it's like there's other bigger fish to fry, that kind of thing. I thought that was freaking weird. But and of course you get all these little side missions, like once again going to a fucking casino planet, trying to earn some money. Well, it's still slightly better than what they did in The Last Jedi with that side quest on the casino planet, where it's like you gotta they try to earn some money to like fund certain things that they need on the ship while they're trying to find a place to hunker down permanently. But even then, it's still fucking like well, I won't say it's boring like it was in Last Jedi, but still wasn't entertaining to me. But eventually they find this spot, this semi-aquatic world where they meet these fish people, and I was in the middle of watching this particular episode, and I was in my mind about to like note like, man, even in like Rebels, you like, because as much as I crap on Rebels, because Clone Wars did a better job, you at least get like some time with other characters, like you get time with like Captain Rex and some other stormtroopers, and even in Rebels you get time with like what's going on with certain characters that join up with like the Rebels, so you can get like a feel for them. But it's like I don't even know what's the deal with these ace pilots that we've been like touting up for so long. And it's like you get a little bit with hype, and then this episode you get some information about Griff, because he still got like old Imperial pilot uniform that he tells the story about how him and Captain Doza used to work in the Empire before they both defected thanks to Doza's wife. But it's like I don't know anything about the Russian girl with the Princess Leia buns. What's her deal? But it's like she's just Russian girl in my mind. I ain't even bothered to even learn her doggone name. I mean, she had episodes with people, but it's nothing where she's the focus. And then again, Griffin wasn't really the focus, but you at least got like at least a tale of his history and how he became a part of the Colossus. But then you meet these fish people, and you get like this like former bunker that used to belong to rebels during the war with the Empire. But yeah, then after partnering up with them, they get found out by the First Order. They, fought them back as much as they can, then jump ship. But then they end up coming back. The First Order ended up coming back, and just out of this pissy pettiness, they attack one village belonging to these alien race of fish people, and just bombarded. Like it was like it's probably the most effed up, hardcore part of this entire Resistance show, where it is like, and like you have like that bully that pretended to be a friend to Kaz in the first season, who joined up with the First Order with Tam. Ruckland, that was his name. I couldn't remember his doggone name. Don't really care ultimately. But he was like super like, dude, it's like, how you get this fucking bloodthirsty all of a sudden? And another thing, whatever happened to his little crew of flunkies that we seen him roll with in the first season? Because you don't see them as part of the First Order, and I haven't seen them in on the Colossus. They probably is on the Colossus, just never, seen them anymore after this point, or at least after the point where like there's falling out between like this like, well, it wasn't even a friendship from the beginning, but this little antagonistic turn of events between Kaz and Ruckland from season 1, from that one particular episode. We haven't seen him spring up until like later in the end of the first season, and he gets a little bit more agency here, but he just completely went like a psychopath. Well, I don't want to say a psychopath, but he's just like a straight up like a dickhead, above all dickheads. I want to say above all dickheads. He's just a dickhead, just reveling in the fact that, like, I want to say revel. It's more like accept the fact like, you just like, okay, well, they helped the Resistance, so they're the enemy, so F them. I was like, holy shit. It's like, when it comes to the Empire, they just accept. It's like, you get like a few specks of people like Tam who was misled, but by and large, you get like people in this Empire/First Order who are just bullies or shitheads or just greedy or just straight up downright evil assholes who just want to come into the First Order just to throw their dick around and just bully or manipulate people at their whim because they give the First Order gives them license to. And not like Roman centurions or even like certain police officers who just or certain military personnel like to throw their weight around because they got like supposed authority to do so without any kind of threat of consequences. But when Tam sees that, now all of a sudden it dawns on her after many people keep telling her, hey, they are not telling you everything. They're not who they pretend to be. They're assholes, which they should cover in fucking historical fucking text. So Tam can understand that from the jump, so she won't be that fucking misled. That's how people get misled if you don't have historical stuff to fall back on, to learn. But now she won't have second thoughts. Now she's like reuniting with Kaz and Yeager. And even though Yeager is like, at first miffed at the choices like Tam made, but it's like, dude, like she's mad for a reason, it's not like it should be discounted because, she felt hurt and lied to. It should be, some responsibility does fall onto you, that you should been able to trust her. But she should also equally understand the fact that, he was on a mission assignment, and it hurt the fact that he had to lie to Nico and Tam, but it's like something that she did not necessarily need to know. But after a while, you could feel like you could have trusted her. So like you work with her long enough to know whether or not she's part of the First Order or not. You definitely know Nico was not. But wouldn't that have been like a crazy twist that Nico was like all of a sudden like out of nowhere was like an undercover. He was putting on like, it's just like with Jar Jar, people like to think like, oh, he's actually like, he's not like an idiot. He's really like a secret Sith Lord that has been pretending this whole time. And it would have been wild to have Nico pretend this whole time to be like this, I don't want to say idiot, but it's like this, like a portrayed in a particular way, but it's like all like a complete ruse. And he's like really like, not like a Sith Jedi, but it's like, like a First Order, like, military general who's been playing them this whole time. That would have been wild, but that wasn't the case. But then they finally decide, okay, we're not going to run. We're going to fight back, which they do. And like you see this moment, we get like a cameo appearance in the last two episodes of, or at least through transmission of Kylo Ren, and you see like the scar that was left by Rey from Force Awakens, which I did a review on recently. You can check out on the channel as well. And he's like, in typical Sith fashion, he force manipulates these two like main First Order generals into like pointing their guns at each other, and it's like, I could make you fire on each other right now if I wanted to. And it's like this whole moment is like we understand, sir. Do you? And like, now do you understand? But then it's like, of course, at the end when they're losing, she's like literally, begging Kylo Ren for military reinforcements, and just like they've been telling like Tam, it's like, we don't suffer weak links in the First Order. And like as like the ship, the Star Destroyer that they're all on is about to explode, killing all these First Order generals along with possibly Rucklin, Kylo Ren just force chokes this woman general to death as like this whole entire ship is getting blown up. And so now they found like a spot to lay their head on. Kaz decides, my place is here, helping this second family of mine on the Colossus, instead of going off to the resistance and like fighting, because you don't obviously see him in the movies, but uh, he found where he needs to be. And it's like I kind of like the way it ends here. Is like I said, it's like at least a few episodes here that I actually found some enjoyment, and kind of still annoying, but not as annoying as he was in season one. Uh, but yeah, ultimately, Resistance is really not. I don't want to say it's not a great show. I'm pretty sure there's people out there who liked it as it came out, but the fact that it only lasted 2 seasons, while at the very least Rebels had 4 seasons and Clone Wars had 7. You can tell, like, despite the Saturn Award they won, uh, this didn't have any kind of staying power. And it didn't even bother to continue on, at least through Disney Plus, while they had the streaming services, booted and up and running, because Disney Plus started in late 2019, I believe. I don't know when did Disney Plus start. When did Disney Plus launch? Yeah, when did? Yeah, it booted up in November 12th, 2019. So they could have easily had continue on this show, not directly on cable network anymore, but directly through making a Disney Plus show moving forward. Because if it, I mean, I slightly warmed up to it. I mean, like, I won't lose any sleep. There's no more of Resistance, but it's like I wouldn't begrudge it for another season just to see some more progression with these characters. Because after it ended, I'm starting to think, okay, The Mandalorian was like a continuation of after the events of Return of the Jedi, and see what happened post-war. And I'm kind of wondering if like Dave Filoni can like possibly make a show post sequel trilogy and see where everybody at in the world after the events of Rise of Skywalker. I'm be curious to know how that will turn out. But that is pretty much like my thoughts on Resistance. Like I said, it's like very low on the totem pole, and it's like wow to me. I didn't think this. I thought it was gonna. I don't know. I had like different expectations for Resistance. I thought it would be like, I thought it would be maybe a little bit better than Rebels, because I could not stand Rebels to at least half the time. Definitely not like in the first season. But man, it's like let's make it Rebels look a whole lot more appealing. But let me know in the comments below if you've seen Star Wars Resistance, if you grew up watching this. Maybe you have a different perspective on it. Maybe you can clue me in of what you like about it, and I'll enjoy that kind of like feedback, because like there's only like certain episodes that like I dig from the show, but it's like at least I got a little bit more at least with Rebels. But anyway, I will see you guys later on today as I boot up more Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And and later on in the week, I will cover the last 2 Star Wars movies. And and I'm looking forward to the Obi-Wan series and see how like episode 1 turns out. It's going to be doing gangbusters. It's going to be like crashing the site, I bet you. As soon as everybody's gearing up because 2 in the morning my time, it'll be like posted, and it's probably gonna crash the hell out of the site. Everybody trying to watch Kenobi. But I will see you guys soon. Take care. Oh, do want to mention, in case like people will say like you didn't bring up this, they did drop hints to like Sith stuff too, with this episode with like this like Sith relic, but it didn't go anywhere. And this archaeologist that you would think is like a possible force sensitive person, but no. But there are two children that might be force sensitive on the Colossus, but they didn't do much with them. Kind of wish they did. Maybe if they had like another season, maybe you see that grow into something, and they meet up with Rey or somebody to like continue with some kind of training. Which another thing, Rey could set up like another a new Jedi temple with her as the starting like a new Jedi Order with her at the top. That could have been an easy thing to set up for a continuation in its own little show after the events of Rise of Skywalker. But now, all right, that is it. That's my thoughts.